In this video, I'm going to show you how to align your sales and onboarding team so new clients never fall through the cracks. From all my research, these 5 steps are used by high retention service businesses to turn closed deals into long-term clients without all the micromanagement and without the missed expectations. So let's go ahead and jump in. The first thing I really want to talk about is creating a shared handoff checklist. So your sales team is fielding the lead as it's the inbound call from the ad, and it's qualifying the lead, getting the quote, making the sale, and after that, that client goes into onboarding. And what we want is a checklist that talks about the criteria that salesperson needs to communicate to that onboarding specialist. This can be stuff like the particular services agreed upon, the expectations. Sometimes clients have specific things that they want cleaned, or they have other just details that they want to address. Those should be recorded in your CRM by your salesperson and communicate to the onboarding person. Certain preferences the customer has and any red flags, like maybe that customer was really short, or maybe they want extra relational attention. So the cleaners need to make sure they make small talk for 5 minutes when they get there. Whatever details about the customer would be helpful to servicing that customer, the salesperson needs to communicate to that onboarding specialist, and that should be in the checklist. And so literally the checklist can be services, expectations, preferences, and red flags, and they just make details under those 4 things for just optimal communication, optimal onboarding. Second thing we want to talk about is using a CRM, which is just a customer relationship manager. This is like HubSpot. It's like, what's that one I use? Go High Level. Those are 2 of the main ones that come to mind. Pipedrive is another one. Any of these free CRMs that you can use to start capturing lead details, create deals, move them through the sales pipeline, and then create another pipeline for your customer journey to show who gave you referrals, who gave you reviews, who repurchased, and who's just buying more and more again and again, is on that recurring monthly cycle. So you want to set up your CRM so that you can capture client details. And it's what the salesperson will use, it's what the onboarding person will use. Your checklist, you should line up to some sort of workflow or automation in the CRM so that it notifies your salesperson to do specific jobs. And so the first step, we want to create that shared handoff checklist. Again, that's services, expectations, preferences, and red flags. Then we want to upload that checklist into our CRM so that it tags our salesperson at various stages in the process to take notes. Once that salesperson is taking notes, your onboarding specialist will not only get an email from your salesperson based on the notes in that CRM, but they will also be able to go back to the notes and refer to them if the salesperson left out any details. The CRM can also capture recorded calls, which is great. If you tell your clients that you're recording the call and you record it, you have that logged 10 to 15 minutes in there. So if the onboarding specialist wants to quality control the salesperson, randomly, they can listen to certain calls and see if all the details were recorded. So first step, create that shared checklist. Second step, use the CRM to capture client details and communicate between the salesperson and the onboarding specialist. The third step, we want to just align the onboarding goals with sales promises. It's very easy for a salesperson to be on the phone with somebody and a client got a specific quote online. They're like, hey, $350 for this clean of this 3-bed, 2-bath home, 3-hour deep clean, pay special attention to the stove or something like that. The salesperson is talking through that sale, trying to close it, trying to get the credit card information, and the client is like, hey, can we actually do this for $275? The salesperson is like, yeah, we can do it for $275, and we'll throw in cutting your backyard too. That is not ideal. You don't want your salesperson to promise things that you're not going to deliver or slash price in a way just to close a deal so that they can get their commission in a way that isn't fruitful for the business. And so you want to align those onboarding goals. Basically, what are you actually going to deliver to your customer, and what are the expectations around that delivery, and how does that match to your sales promises that your salesperson is making throughout the sales process. And a good way to do this is make sure that you have the first 7 to 14 days of onboarding reflect exactly what was promised in the sales call. So map out those 7 to 14 days in terms of action steps you're going to do, promises you're going to make to the client, and then make sure your salesperson is sticking to that script. And they know the onboarding process like the back of their hand. They can, in fact, plug in for the onboarding specialist, and maybe you do a little job switch there for a week so that the onboarding person knows how the salesperson's days go and the salesperson knows how the onboarding days go, and they can better perform their tasks because they understand the business like an owner would. So again, step one, you create that shared handoff checklist. Step two, you use the CRM notes to capture client details and communicate between the salesperson and the onboarding specialist. Step three, we're going to align onboarding goals with sales promises by making sure the first 7 to 14 days of onboarding are scripted out and communicated to both parties so that communication with the client is consistent. Step four kind of is similar to step three in that you're training both teams on the client journey. So you want onboarding to understand the click to close process. They clicked on the ad, got the quote, and closed and paid for the clean. And then you want sales to understand that 7 to 14 days of onboarding and then specifically what value you're driving to, which in a home cleaning business, you're just driving to a clean home, but you're also wanting to drive to a certain experience for each client. And that experience might be a little detail here, a little detail there, but those need to be captured in the sales process so that your client feels the way you want them to feel, that is coherent with the brand promises that your cleaning company is making, and that will drive to more referrals, reviews, and repurchases. So training both those teams, it can look as simple as a video, just communicating expectations, communicating steps in the process. Hey, we run an ad. This ad says this, this, and this. Then they click and they get on this landing page. They drop their contact information. Then we shoot them an email to book a time. Salesperson, that's what calls you're on. When they book a time, you go through this process to get the quote and to close the quote. Onboarding specialist, that's where you come in. The quote has been closed. They've paid. Then there's an email connecting. And then in the first 7 to 14 days, or really the first 48 hours, we're making these 3 to 5 promises to the customer and fulfilling on them in these ways. That's kind of how you train both teams. You create a video just walking them through that whole process. Click to close. The onboarding specialist needs to understand that, and close to what I like to call the 3 R's or the 4 R's: referrals, reviews, retention, and repurchasing. The salesperson needs to understand what actions and activities are driving those things. And so once you create that one video to describe the whole customer journey to your team, you can send that to them, train them on it, quiz them on it. Y'all should be living and breathing that customer journey. They should know everything that's going on just as well as they do in their own life, really. And the last step, accountability. Nobody likes meetings, but we got to have them for accountability. Just have a weekly alignment huddle, making sure that the sales team and the onboarding team are all on a call together. Bring both teams together for 15 minutes and you can share wins, you can share problems, and any gaps that are happening. And that's when you can air out some of the grievances they may have with each other, because especially if you're just getting this started, sales team is going to hate the onboarding team is going to hate the sales team, and until you get them walking in lockstep, they might have some issues. And so in addition to sharing wins, problems, and any gaps, if you record those calls, both the sales calls and the onboarding calls, and have the sales team listen to the onboarding calls, and the onboarding team listen to the sales calls, it will really help them understand each other's roles and better perform their job duties to benefit their colleague. So yeah, those are the 5 steps. You create that checklist, use the CRM to capture client details and communicate between people, align onboarding goals with sales promises, focusing on the first 7 to 14 days of that onboarding process. Train both teams on the client journey in one video, and then hold those weekly alignment huddles where you share wins, problems, any gaps, and then review really good calls that you want to celebrate. Now, I also want to jump into one last thing before we go about how to really set up that first alignment meeting. I got 4 things. You want to keep it short, 15 to 20 minutes max, with a tight agenda, especially when the teams have grievances in the beginning. You might struggle to keep them short because people want to talk, they want to feel heard. Make people feel heard, but remind them that it's a regular meeting and that they can feel heard next week too. So keep it short because we're here to align, understand, and then go execute. It's not supposed to take up a whole hour or 2 hours of our time. We want to focus on new clients and recent handoffs. So we want to see the pipeline, what's coming through the pipeline, what went through the pipeline, and how did those handoffs go? What was the best one? What was the worst one? How can we improve on both? And what can we celebrate? You also want to end with one action each team will take to improve the next week. So maybe it's a little tweak in the script here, or a little tweak in the email there, or maybe we're going to jump on the sales and onboarding calls with a new client together, both sales rep and onboarding person in the beginning until we get a rhythm. Whatever the action is, just make sure they can take it forward and go with it. And the last thing, we want to drive towards time to value for your clients. And so what that really looks like is we're here to clean their home. When their home is clean, they want to feel this way, or they're cleaning their home for this purpose. We want to make sure that they're getting that value as quickly as possible, and that we're communicating and showing that we're working towards that as much as possible, so that we can loop it into more value into the future, which leads to upsells, more retention, more referrals, more reviews. Good for your business, good for your clients, good for your employees, good for everybody. So that's the video, guys. That is how we can go ahead and align the sales and onboarding team so that new clients don't fall through the cracks. And you don't have to micromanage them. You just have to make sure that your expectations are clear so they're not missed, and have that one accountability meeting to really get things going. And so bringing this all back to what you need to do after this video, create that checklist. That onboarding checklist shouldn't take you more than 30 minutes. Get a CRM and set it up. It's 15 minutes to 2 hours, depending on how detailed you want to be with your sales pipeline or your customer success pipeline. Hold that weekly alignment meeting this week. Just do it. Get your onboarding team, get your sales team. Maybe that's just you, or maybe that's you and your sales guy. Get on a meeting together, align on how the onboarding goes, and then get that training video in the books describing that customer journey so that one, you know it and you're clear on it, and two, your team knows it. So don't let good sales go to waste with sloppy onboarding. Use these 5 steps and build that client trust, scale without the chaos. Make sure you get those reviews, referrals, and retention. And you guys know why we do this. We're on a mission to help 800,000 entrepreneurs grow to $2 million in profit. And that starts with home cleaning companies. And once we get that community growing towards that, we want to take half of that money, $1 million a year from all those entrepreneurs, into an endowment to raise the standard of living across the world to middle-class America, so that everybody has more than enough food, shelter, water, and safety. Whew, almost forgot it for a second there. So if you have any comments for me that would help you get to that $1 million, $2 million mark better, you have topics you want me to touch on, leave it in the comments below. Look forward to seeing you guys on the next one.